we enter into the spirit of worship with this prelude.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Little Rock. My name is Rebecca Roetzel, and it is a pleasure to be here today. I am currently serving as the co-chair of our worship arts team with Lori, and I've been a member for about 10 years. This is our environmental stewardship weekend. Thank you to the 25 people who came yesterday to help clean up our woodland area. We have a weekend of stewardship and bulbs in anticipation of next week's Flower Communion Sunday. Today, we do welcome you to stay. I'm making one edit at this point. There are no Ferncliff goats here today, but literally pulling in right now is my friend Farmer Finn with her special goats. So we will have an 11 o'clock RE hour, and then you all will be welcomed back for refreshments and friends and fellowship in our beautiful woodlands. Our opening words this morning come from this book. It is called Wild Peace by Irene Latham. The book begins, "When the world fills with noise and fury, and the days pass all rush and scurry, it's time to step into the forest." Join us or enjoy our opening hymn this morning, number 21, "For the Beauty of the Earth," with Chris and Margot and Laurie.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight, source of all to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, brother, sister, parent, child, for the kinship we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise.
I light the chalice with these words: take care of the earth, and she will take care of you. Please join me in the affirmation of covenant, saying, love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Little Rock, where love is our teaching and service is our prayer. I'm Dan Danielson. In the past, I've served many positions for this church, but currently I'm a new father, which means I've learned. Thank you. I've learned what it means to sleep like a baby, which is you sleep when the baby sleeps. If you're a newcomer, we're glad to have you have chosen to join us for worship. While you're here, we hope you'll stop by the guest table to sign a guest card and also pick up some information about our church. Now, Rebecca will lead us in a time all together.
Good morning. We have a smaller crew of youth than we were anticipating today. So we're just going to roll with our time all together today. And I have great helpers up here today. Miss Sarah, if you have not met her, she's fabulous. And Miss Lori, I'm sure you know she's fabulous. So, like I said, my name is Rebecca. I also have this pencil with me today. This pencil's name is Steve. Dan, would you be willing to break Steve in half?
Well, kind of hard now that you've given him a name, but if you ask.
I did not prompt Dan for this. But his words were perfect. If I had handed you a pencil and said, break it in half, you would think that the task is just breaking it in half, and you have succeeded if you do it. I gave the pencil a name. We are humans, which means we have this strange ability to connect with anything, especially if it's been given a name. And maybe a small part of you just died inside because Steve was broken in half. Thank you, Dan. So today, for our time all together, we are going to focus a little bit on names. Many of us are wearing name tags, and if you do not have one, we would love to get you one so that we can all always be reminded of your name. Names are important. One of the lines I love from a promotional video at the place I work, which is the Ferncliff Camp out in Ferndale, they talk about how important it is to teach our kids, our youth, the names of the plants and the trees and the flowers, because the name is the starting point to understanding what that is. And once you understand what it is and how it's connected and how it lives, we can then care for it. And we are all stewards of this earth. So, our time all together today is actually a quiz for you. Karen, who is handling our booth back here, she is also fabulous. She has some pictures. Are they up here? I'm going to test your knowledge of our Arkansas native plants today. And actually, I'm giving the answer key to Sarah. So they should be in. Okay. Would you like to quiz them?
Ooh, sure. All right. Are we ready to be quizzed? Am I on? Yes. Okay, excellent. All right, so first up, what do you think we have? Any guesses? Southern woolly violet. Excellent. Thank you very much.
I should give a little.
Ding, ding, ding. All right, next up, what do we have? Fern. Yes, anybody know what kind? Maiden. Ooh, yes. Northern, excellent, green. That's about as far as I can get you. Northern maidenhair fern. Excellent. Next up. No, not quite a dogwood. Nope, not a mayapple. No, fruit was getting close. It is a Ozark mock orange, as any small child knows. And next up, what do we have? Not a holly. That would have been my guess too. No, not beautyberry, not elderberry. A Carolina buckthorn. Ooh, ah. All right. Next up, what do we got? A pawpaw. Excellent. Thank you. And next, we got a lot of these back in our woods. Buckeye. Yes. Excellent. My mom made Buckeye candies growing up. All right. Goldenrod. A downy, ragged goldenrod. Excellent. And, I think I got these growing in my yard right now.
These are actually pretty tall. You can't.
Oh, really?
see the
Then
height
maybe
of
I
them.
don't. Not
Looks like a
thistle.
thistle.
A rattlesnake master. Something I aspire to be. A rattlesnake master. All right, number 9. Nope, not a honeysuckle. Arkansas beard tongue. Because, who doesn't have a beard on their tongue? And then last but not least, spring beauty. Excellent. There you go. Good work.
Thank you, Sarah, for helping us. I hope that maybe you learned the name of a flower that you see on the ground, in the ditches, as you're driving, or maybe in your own yard. Names are important, and it doesn't hurt to learn them. So our challenge today is to learn the name. And when you come to the woodlands after the service, I hope you will stroll through them and look around. See if you know the name of something. See if you want to look up the name of something. Ask a friend if they have a name that you do not know. Names of people are also important. Share your name. Ask people's names. Get to know a new name today. And we will have some of the kids back there behind. So I challenge you to learn the names of all the children and all the goats you meet today. So learning new things is always something we need to do. And yesterday in the van, my child, who goes to a nature preschool, who knows more of these names than I do, he started to sing a song I had never heard before. So he taught me this song. He was too shy to sing the song to you today, but I've enlisted some help to do this chant today. And someday when we are not masked, we will all sing this together. And there are some actions too, so you're welcome to do the actions and you're welcome to stand if you would like. Standing with a tree with my roots dug down, my branches were open. Come down the rain, come down the sun, come down the fruit to the heart that is open to thee. Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Come down the sun, come down the rain, come down the fruit to the heart that is open to be.
We are the flow, we are the web, we are the weavers, we are the web. We are the flow, we are the ebb, we are the weavers, we are the web.
Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Come down the rain, come down the sun, come down the fruit to the heart that is open to be. Standing like a tree.
Low below, I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the boat that I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
All right, now for a period of silent meditation to be followed by the hymn Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me.
the stirrings of compassion blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wind set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Now is the time when we accept gifts from our congregation. We are not passing the plates yet, so as you leave the sanctuary at the end of the service, the ushers will have collection baskets at the doors. If your donation goes to your pledge, please indicate that on your check or envelope. I would now like to introduce Cass Rifkin, who will share with us why the church is important to her.
In our beloved Dave Brickard's tradition of starting the pledge drive speeches with humor, I offer this. There was a young man who made a covenant with a pastor to tithe 10% of his income every year. The young man started out with very little money, but with time, things changed. The layman was able to tithe $1,000 the year that he made $10,000, $10,000 the year that he made $100,000, and $100,000 the year that he made $1 million. But the year that he earned $600,000, he just could not force himself to write a check to the church when he earned $6 billion, he couldn't force himself to write a check for $600,000 to the church. So he walked into the pastor's office and he begged to be let out of the covenant, saying, this tithing business has got to stop. It was fine when my covenant was $1,000, but I just cannot donate $600,000. I just can't do it. You've got to do something, Reverend. So the Reverend knelt on the floor and he prayed silently for a long time. And eventually the man said, are you praying for God, that God will let me out of the covenant to tithe 10%? The minister looked up quite surprised. And he says, well, no. I'm praying for God to reduce your income back to the level so that only $1,000 will be your tithe. I must admit that generosity is something, too, that I had to learn. It did not come naturally to me, but with time, I have found the joy and the excitement of a generous spirit. Generosity is led by the heart, and it's not paying a bill like electricity. Now when I give out of love. But I'll be honest, 30 years ago, I didn't pledge because I didn't want anyone to know how little I was able to give. In reality, I was judging people, thinking that they would judge me. I'm not proud of that. I wish I had just pledged $5 a week, which was all that I thought that I could afford at that time, and increased it slowly as my finances permitted. Instead, I put it in the basket on Sunday mornings and did not have the feeling of being proud to make and fulfill a commitment to UUCLR. And then later, as things got better, I was able to donate $100 a month. And I did it without much thought or thinking that was probably the average, and that was sufficient. Then I wanted our church to quit struggling financially, so I doubled my pledge. Finally, I really looked at the fair share giving on the gift form and realized I felt so much better when I knew I was finally giving my fair share. Fair share is determined on a sliding scale, starts at I think like 1% or something, and then it goes up as your income increases. And I started at the low end, I moved up, and now I'm a visionary, I look to see if I can increase it to more than just the cost of living increases for the year. But during these years, I realized that I am not giving money to the church. I am making a loan for what I will get out of it in the next year. According to Josiah Royce in 1908, in order for us to really feel alive, is that we need to seek a cause beyond ourselves and be loyal to it. I feel alive because I'm part of something bigger and believe in the cause of Unitarian Universalism. Every principle guides me, and I rejoice that I have you to share this experience. I also want to be a beacon for those like me when I was relieved to find a faith that would accept me as I am and not try to make me jump through hoops and to be able to belong and to confess to a dogma that I didn't believe in. And they would accept my daughters, whatever sexuality choices they made as they got older. I come on Sunday mornings to have my spirit rejuvenated and to learn how to be a better me. UUCLR gives me people to love and teaches me to accept love. So I want it to thrive, and to do that, I have to offer the resources to make that happen, which includes showing up on Sundays so that anyone coming through our doors will find a big community waiting to welcome them, volunteering to get the jobs done, and offering my financial contributions. Everything that I put in, I get back with much larger interest rate in the form of a much happier, fulfilling, and richer life. I am so thankful to be part of this beloved community.
Thank you, Jake, always for your music. I don't own a cat. I have always considered myself a dog person, and I don't know. They're just have always been an unknown to me. They scratch, they bite, and don't they carry like all kinds of gross germs and bacteria and things? Also, I just found out my daughter Katie is allergic to cats, so clearly we cannot own a cat. We have never purchased, adopted, or been gifted a cat. So we do not own a cat. But there is this cat where we live. I'm going to give Karen my thumbs up every time she can switch our image there. It kind of came with the house, you might say. We think that the neighbors might call her Luna, but she doesn't answer to that. She only responds to kitty kitty, which is perhaps telling that she, for her unknown number of years, has never been anyone's cat. She's never been properly named or collared. She has no shots, probably, no vet records, and she's not ours. Did I mention that? We don't own a cat. But yeah, so for the last 8 years, we have fed her daily, sometimes more than twice, because there are a lot of people who live in our house, and we all like feeding her. She bolts through the yard when she sees us pulling in to the driveway, and she likes to flop down on her side on the stoop, waiting for us to walk by, hoping one of us will give her a belly scratch. And one of us usually does. She is an excellent mouser and ratter and birder. Many, many gifts have been left at our doorstep. She is not allowed in our house, except sometimes. I mean, only like when it's raining, and definitely during thunderstorms, because she is terrified of thunder. But that doesn't make her our cat. This doesn't make her our cat. No, she is not mine. It's not like I'm responsible for her. I mean, really, I'm not going to find someone to look for her to look after her when we go out of town. But I do like knowing that she's always there. She's there to snuggle whenever I want. Definitely on nights, especially in the winter, I like to take a cup of tea and a blanket to the porch after my kids are asleep and just sit with her on my lap to soak up her loud purring. These last few years have felt like just two moms sharing a quiet moment of exhaustion and survival. Oh, right. Did I mention that she's given birth to some kittens? Yeah, multiple litters, actually. 2, 3, 4, 5 at least. It's been very entertaining for our children. Kitties are really sweet. We thought about getting her spayed multiple times, but she's not ours. Haven't I convinced you of that? Go ahead. And I know nothing about getting a cat spayed. Should I be making reproductive decisions for someone else's body, someone else's cat? I don't think so. Besides, that would cost money, right? Why should I be responsible for spaying a stray cat? I called once to ask how it would work, and it sounds like I would have to take time off work to handle that. You have to schedule it. You're supposed to coordinate pre-op and post-op. I didn't ask for any of that. That sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, there have been a lot of sleepless nights defending all of those kitties from the neighborhood dogs and our other country critters. Yes, I've had to do some Band-Aid surgeries and dropper duties for the kittens who got injured or who weren't gaining enough weight. And yeah, it cost us some money to feed them as they grew up. We've tried to care for them and rehome all the kitties we have had, which has been a bit of work. So allow me to pause for just a moment. Aside from the fact that Bob Barker is probably rolling over in his grave right now, I hope that you might be starting to feel a little concerned, maybe appalled, and maybe confused by my sermon so far. Everything I've told you is true. Maybe you're thinking, ooh, Rebecca is not such a nice person after all. Maybe some of you are thinking of a vet you could recommend to me after the service. Maybe some of you have already texted me a number to a spay clinic. If so, good. Good. I'm glad. I hope so. I hope that if I took a vote right now from all of you, that you would raise your hand to say that it is my responsibility to care for this cat. I do not have a cat. I do not own her, but I have gathered that no one ever truly owns a cat. Just like we do not own this land, that tree, these flowers, we woke up on this planet. We were born into this spectacular beauty. We will never own it, but we are here to care for it. We are the stewards of this planet, this one planet which we have the pleasure to inhabit. A planet in rich diversity with a creation that blesses and sustains us. The least we could do is learn names, but constantly move toward a greater understanding of the interdependent web of which we are a part. We must take responsibility for it and become its voice because, like my cat, it cannot speak for itself. We at least have to try to make good decisions. There's words from Wendell Berry, which I love. He says, "We have lived our lives by the assumption that what is good for us will be good for the world. We have been wrong. We must change our lives so that it will be possible to live by the contrary assumption that what is good for the world will be good for us. And that requires that we must make an effort to know the world and learn what is good for it. I know that spaying stray cats is good for the world. It would have been good for my neighborhood, for my own sanity, and it would have been good for Luna. I made a lot of excuses over the years, trying to convince myself that my inaction was fine, justified. But it was Luna who suffered the most. Now, in transparency, I wrote the beginning of this sermon, that first part, which was all true, a few months ago for a completely different reason. And halfway through, my own feelings of angst and embarrassment and just shame welled up in me in such a way that I pretty much stopped writing mid-sentence and called a vet. I kind of can't believe I shared any of that with you because I am ashamed, and I was ashamed when I took her into the vet. I waited 8 years. I know better. And I love this cat. But I can't just love a cat. I have to care for it. So take a breath. This girl, she's spayed. She has her shots. And she is doing fine. Now, I tend to be pretty optimistic about big health things and medical stuff, but there's something about those routine procedures that gets me exceptionally nervous. I made an appointment for her, and then I actually called to expedite the surgery because it became very clear that she was very, very pregnant again. On the way to the vet, I started to panic a little bit. I called Mike. What if this isn't going to work? What if she doesn't make it? What if this is the wrong thing to do? What if she doesn't make it because I waited so long? Maybe this isn't the right time. But I kept driving. I had to keep telling myself that I was doing the best thing I knew to do in the best way I knew how to do it. I needed to trust the vet, the medicine, the science, and that's all we can ever do as stewards of our earth and its living things. We do the best we can do with the information we have for as long as we are able to do it. It is an ever-evolving, persistent pursuit of justice for our earth. A couple times a year, I lead an environmental stewardship session for a national volunteer training unit through the Church of the Brethren. And as part of that session, we identify our own skills and preferences that we bring to being an environmental steward, which we all are. My observation is that in any given group, you will find two categories of stewards. The first is what I call person to person. We are the people who trust in the ripple effect and influence. We want to think globally by acting locally. We believe in the power of community and timely interventions and initiatives on the ground. We do the right thing in our homes. The other kind of person I call the fight the system kind of guy. So this is more of the top down. You believe that legislation is the answer, and making big decisions on the large scale is how to get us to where we're going. You might organize or participate in the protests, the boycotts, and believe in the mass education and campaigns that can change people's minds. From that really brief explanation, I want to know which one you identify with the most. If you're comfortable, which one describes your style? Person to person or fight the system? Person to person? Fight the system. Yes. This, what I just saw, actually goes into the ratio that I see in most groups, which is 4 to 1. 4 being those that want to be person to person working on the ground, and 1 fight that system. The thing that we have to remember is that it is people who ultimately drive both of those things with their choices. We vote with our dollars. I'm sure you've heard that. How we eat, what we buy, how we travel, the utility costs we pay. But government and corporations are voting with their dollars too. Every dollar spent is a vote to how we want our earth to be gifted back to the next generation. So we have to have people working for change on both ends of the spectrum. The masses of people with the influence and people working for pressure at the top to change the system. The future of our earth relies on it. It relies on the choices that are made by those who know better and those who don't, and those who do, but make excuses to justify their inaction. We have one lifetime to create influence. So it's important to think about the example that you set and the approach that you take. You could probably pull 1 or 2 people out away from a moving bus coming towards you, but you might be able to move a whole crowd if they trust you and are listening to what you have to say. In a church dedicated to a 7th principle, to respect the interdependent web of life, my negligence for that cat should have concerned you. But climate change should concern you. The rising sea levels, volatile weather patterns, the recent bleaching of the coral reef, deforestation, pollution, water scarcity, ozone depletion, waste management. I could name like 20 more things. We need to be concerned. But we can't panic, get overwhelmed, make excuses, or wait 8 years to spay a cat. We need to do what we can do the best way we know how, so that we can continue to live our values and become an influence for good. It was Martin Luther King who said, "If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way." Please do them, the small things and the great things, because we can't just love the earth. We have to care for it too. May it be so.
For the earth forever turning, for the skies for every sea, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the mountains, hills, and pastures in their silent majesty, for the stars, for all the heavens, sing we our joyful song of peace. For the sun, for rain and thunder, returning home to our blue green hills of earth.
After the service, we do welcome you to go out on the deck, come down. We will have the fellowship team setting up some refreshments back there. Farmer Finn is there with her goats. The kids are already out there. And we have invited you today to bring bulbs or corms or rhizomes. The blooms will come next week, but you have been invited. There's a note in your bulletin to stay for refreshments. If you have brought a bulb or a rhizome, please make sure you see Annalise or Joanne and keep the planting to the path. We do want a little bit of organization there. If you have questions, please ask. We close our service the way we close every Sunday, with words of blessing to carry us together out into the world for another week. You'll find these words in your bulletin. Please speak them with me. I'm going to invite you to stand. Go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person, evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Remain standing as Cass and Dan come up.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. Blessed be. Namaste. Go now in peace.